The next item is 129, 131 Summer Street, site plan special permit, planning board case 2016-17, which is continued from our infamous meeting January 11, 2017. Mr. Harrington.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Christopher Harrington. My law office is at 21 McGrath Highway, and I represent the applicant in this case, which is the Town River Realty Trust, who is applying for this site plan review. This is a project that does not require any variances. It doesn't have any dimensional nonconformances. This property is located on Sumner Street. It's in a Residence B zoning district. And we're combining two lots that together make a 43,000 square foot lot in Residence B. This project would be 9.6 units by right under Residence B zoning, and we propose to build 7 units. So our maximum FAR could be 0.5. We're at 0.375. And we have 6,181 square feet of land per unit, where 4,500 square feet of land is required. So this project is much less dense than it could be. It has fewer units than it could have. And the reason why is that we wanted to build a different kind of development than many of the townhouse developments that we've seen in Quincy over the past 5 years. What this project does is we've designed the site with clusters of duplexes as opposed to having, one long row of townhouses down the length of the property. So we have a cluster of 2 near the front, in the middle, and in the back of the site. The buildings comply with the 25-foot building setbacks all around on all sides. And there are currently 27 parking spaces on the site, and let me explain to you how that's calculated. We had a neighborhood meeting with Councilor Kroll, and we presented a couple of different options to the neighborhood at that neighborhood meeting. One was an option to build, similar to Chapman's Reach out at Marina Bay, was to build detached single-family home condominiums, and to have 5 condos that would essentially look like single-family homes on this property. And there were some concerns about the size of those houses, the size of those structures, and whether or not they fit into the neighborhood. And another proposal was to do condominium townhouses. So what we did is, after getting the feedback from that meeting, we tried to kind of split the difference down the middle. And we came up with this proposal, which is not overly dense. Each unit has its own rear yard with a patio. Each unit has a 25-foot setback, so there's enough space between the unit and the property line next door. And one of the things that was brought up at that neighborhood meeting was folks who lived in this neighborhood were concerned that this project had enough parking for the people who live there, plus extra in case somebody has a party on a Saturday night, because they didn't want to have cars parked on the streets in front of their homes around the corner from the site. So every one of these units has a 1-car garage inside the unit. Each unit has a driveway that's in front of the 1-car garage. So each one has 2 spaces. On this plan, if you notice these gray parking spaces that are on the side of each one of the units, there's one here, 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 and here. Those parking spaces are not required to comply with zoning. If you count those gravel parking spaces, there's 27 parking spaces on the site for a 7-unit project. They're not necessary to comply with zoning, but they are available to have extra parking for people who come to this property if they need it. So each unit has 2 parking spaces between the garage and the driveway, and there are 6 guest parking spaces right here for the project. So we have 6 units. They're in Residence B zoning. You're allowed to have a 3-story building that's 35 feet tall. These were designed to be 2-story duplexes. So because there isn't a 2-car garage on the first floor, only a 1-car garage, the first floor has living area, living room and kitchen. and you walk upstairs to bedrooms on the second floor. And so the second floor space is built within the roof with dormers, so that it brings down the mass of the building and it brings down the overall height of the building. So this is, these are what the units will look like when they're completed. And this is our landscaping plan here. Bob Rigo is our civil engineer. He's the one who designed all the utilities and did all the site work. Brian Donahue is our architect, and I'd like to ask Bob to come up first and just talk about the site and the utility design on the site.
Council, before, I don't know who's appropriate to answer this question, what is the height then?
Is it 28 feet?
Yeah.
They're 28 feet tall to the peak of the roof, correct?
Right, by definition, it's 2 stories, but it's really, what we attempted to do here was to bring the scale down by having a second floor built into dormers and so forth, so the eve line is at the first floor.
Thank you.
Okay, for the record, my name is Bob Rigo with River Hawk Environmental. Just gonna flip over here so I can show you, discuss the utilities. As discussed, there's the 27 parking spaces, and in that 27 parking spaces, actually, I'm gonna flip back, we provided some snow storage. So if there was a snowstorm with significant snowfall like we might have tomorrow, the gravel spaces along the sides of the driveway will be used. Those are spaces that, again, are not required by the zoning requirement, but are available, but those would also be made available for the snow storage. In terms of utilities, there's the site fronts on Summer Street. There's existing sewer and water. There's a 12-inch water main which runs down the street. We're proposing to loop a 4-inch water main around the site and service each of the units. It would have a connection to the existing water main on the north side, and then another connection on the south side, so there'd be no stagnant water in the water line. The sewer runs from west to east, the existing sewer line. We're proposing to have a central gravity sewer line that goes down the central portion of the driveway and then discharges out to the existing sewer main. In terms of stormwater runoff, in order to handle the additional water we'll be creating through creation of the additional pavement and buildings, we're proposing a series of catch basins. There'll be 2 up at the throat of the road where it intersects Sumner Street, and then a 3rd on the corner of the visiting parking area. Those would tie to a proprietary treatment unit. We're proposing a CDS 2015 Contact. It's kind of a proprietary water treatment unit, and then final discharge into an on-site infiltration basin. So all the additional stormwater will be collected, treated, and then discharged or recharged back onto the site. In order to kind of limit some of the runoff, what we've done, we didn't really take credit for it. We still made sure we had enough capacity, but we're proposing the driveways, as opposed to just paving the driveways, there's a couple different low-impact techniques we use, which include pervious pavers in front of the garage doors for each of the units and the existing with the proposed garage. And then that additional parking that we talked about would just be a gravel parking lot as opposed to a fully pervious bituminous concrete parking. We're proposing to basically rebuild the sidewalk from along Sumner Street and provide basically from property line to property line, so that sidewalk would be rebuilt, the vertical granite curbing would be reset, and handicapped access ramps on each side of the driveway would be installed. In terms of lighting, we're proposing to have a lamping by each of the units. There'd be in front of each driveway, there's going to be a lantern that can be controlled from within the house. It'll be on a photovoltaic cell. It'll turn on when it's dark out. So there'll be one placed along each of the units. There's a lighting plan that was included in the set that shows that there's no spillover on the adjacent properties. There was a request in the neighborhood meeting, which is not shown on the plans yet, but we do plan to address. They requested some additional lighting be provided at the intersection of the proposed driveway, or see better if I put this one up. Some additional lighting at, right here at the intersection of the proposed driveway and Summer Street. It's just, I guess it's a dark corner, and at night it's difficult to see approaching cars. That's pretty much it, I think.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Brian Donahue, Principal of Donahue Optical here in Quincy. Without trying not to be repetitive, Chris and Bob outlined the site work pretty thoroughly, so I won't dwell on that. Basically, the buildings are, as they mentioned, three duplex units plus the existing single-family house. What we're doing here is attaching, building a detached single-car garage. So basically, each unit has three parking spaces plus the 6 guest parking spaces. In terms of the architecture, as I mentioned, I like to call it a story and a half, although it's by definition 2 stories. So we built the second floor bedrooms into the roof with dormers to scale down the buildings. The entryway and the loop is sort of a cul-de-sac type of concept. The architecture is very typical New England clapboards and trim double hung windows and so forth to fit into the neighborhood in scale and in character. The plans are really basically 3-bedroom units with a bonus room. And one thing that the applicant was concerned with was having that ground floor possibility for a master bedroom to appeal to an older residential market. So on the ground floor, we have a 1-car garage for each unit, living, dining, kitchen, a bonus room with a bath, and then 3 bedrooms up. As I mentioned, it's just under 28 feet to the ridge line. We're just obviously using cues from the architecture in the city and the area to propose this type of a facade with double hung windows, plywood siding, architectural shingles, and that's basically it on the architecture. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any board members?
Mr. Chairman, this one final comment for me. This project is here for site plan review. We designed this to not require any variances and to be, in fact, significantly less than the maximum allowed. My final comment is if you call your attention to the perspective from the front of what this might look like if you were standing on Summer Street. If this was a townhouse development that's similar to many other townhouse developments that have been built, you know, this level right here would be a 2-car garage. This level would be the first level of living space. This up here where the sky is would be the top level of living space and then a roof on top of it. So this was designed specifically to have a very modest scale and really be much different than a lot of the other projects that you've seen. Thank you.
Any questions, board members?
Not so much a question, but a comment, and I'm extremely interested to hear what the residents say, and I see Councilor Kroll's here, because we've had some projects in this neighborhood, and any other projects have talked about parking, they've talked about fit in the neighborhood, and so to me, I really appreciate this novel design concept as articulated by Mr. Harrington just now, and then plus the focus on making sure to keep the parking on the site. So if there is anybody from the public, I'll certainly be interested to hear what you have to say, because It seems like a very well-rounded project.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Have your presentation, Council?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'd ask anyone who wishes to speak to come forward, identify themselves. Those who do not wish to want to speak, we have sheets for and against on the windowsill. Right up to the mic.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Ennis, and I'm in a butter to this project. I think they have, the developers have done a good job of listening to a lot of the community feedback regarding permeable surfaces and drainage. I think, can you correct me, did you widen the entrance into the driveway to get in because of?
Yes, yep, we have, yep.
Which was another concern of the residents. The units are still on a scale with the rest of the residential units in the area. Most people live in about 1,200 square feet, and this is 2,200 square feet. And the abutters are used to a lot of green space because it's a large space right now with just one house. So we would like to have some privacy fencing added since we're no longer going to have that space that we once had. We agree that the parking is great, that it's on site. We do feel like it's a little bit excessive. It's required for 2, and they have 4. My only concern with the 4 is that it sort of averages out to be 1 per bedroom, which may lean the units to be thought of as for 4 adults, 4 cars instead of families. And that's just a concern because of the traffic on that street and the curve on that street. That street is a cut through, and we have a lot of issues. They're addressing the issue of the lighting because it's not at all uncommon for cars to go off the road at that curve. We've had a couple hits on fences and sidewalks in that area. So that's just a concern with the traffic coming in and out of there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Council?
Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board, for your record, Brad Kroll, City Council, 65 K Street. Appreciate you giving us the opportunity to pump the brakes and regroup as a neighborhood and talk through this proposal. As you know, it had been a while since we had congregated and this thing kind of went on hold and it was back, and so I appreciate the indulgence of the body to regroup with my people, many of which I thought would be here this evening. I do think coming out of the last neighborhood meeting, as you heard Councilor Harrington allude to, there were some implementation done to this project as it related to residential feedback. I mean, personally, I'm not crazy about the placement of the project. I know I have 0 latitude on that, but it is on a tough area of Summer Street, probably one of the more dangerous curves in Quincy Point. However, we expressed those concerns to the applicant, and they did agree to put some resources into sidewalk and lighting to hopefully do as much as we can to improve that. You guys know me, I've been here a lot. You could substitute Council Crowe for council parking. I'll never be a guy that comes up here and says we should relinquish on parking. So I'm knowing the area, knowing the build out of the city. I was actually pleased to see that we'll have adequate parking, in the event of, because Summer Street, as many of you probably know, there's nowhere to absorb any overflow, and it's just nowhere to park the cars in the street. So I did appreciate that piece. One thing that I just wanted, 2 things I wanted to make clear, because I had a conversation post-meeting with the counselor, and I think it should be part of the record, but there was a discussion about fencing. So I'm assuming that'll be white vinyl fencing to match the fencing that's already going around the perimeter.
Yeah, the plans have been modified, and the plans in front of the planning board reflect that change. White vinyl fencing runs along the 2 sidelines of the footprint.
Okay, no, thank you. And, you know, I spoke with the council, I know that the applicant was very gracious enough to also make a $2,500 contribution to the local civic association. So we appreciate those folks that want to be, you know, partners in the community. I heard it alluded to here. This isn't one of those projects where, you know, there's much room for interpretation. Mr. You know, Bowering has done his homework and basically put out a project that almost helicopters right into the space. So, you know, we have essentially what the zoning allows, and we have been able to negotiate out some considerations as it pertains to the project and the community. So I just wanted to share what came out of the neighborhood meeting and just give folks a full understanding as to, you know, the work that goes into this outside of the meeting. So that's all.
Thank you, Council. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak or be recorded? Third and last time, anyone? Hearing, seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Yeah, before I close the public hearing, I'd like comments from Mr. Stevens in the department. Yeah. One of the questions is the height of that fence
6-foot privacy fence.
all around.
It's not gonna go around the entire property. At the neighborhood meeting, the butters who live along this side of the property had asked about a privacy fence. So what we have is from, not too close to the street, but it starts back from the street so that it doesn't interfere with those, about his driveway, sight line from their driveway. So the fence starts approximately at the front line of this house. It runs along here. This abutter requested it, this abutter did as well. So we've got the privacy fence as well as bushes here to block the headlights. The cars will pull in here and down to this point. Those were the abutters who were there who asked for a privacy fence along there. And the other abutter who just spoke is on this side. We installed a privacy fence along that side for that abutter as well. This lot back here is open, it's vacant, so we didn't propose a fence all the way back to that corner because there's nobody there.
But it's all 6 foot.
Yeah, it's all 6-foot white vinyl fence.
And similar to the other side, it was kept back, from the front, off the road a little bit for sight lines.
Visibility.
The butter's driveway is close to the property lines.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me go back to my, before I ask Mr. Stevens, I'd like that a motion to close the public hearing. Second, all those in favor? Aye. Mr. Stevens.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, planning board members. After consideration of the plan and accompanying documents and the comments received by the city staff, as well as the independent peer review of niche engineering, the size of this project, the niche engineering representative couldn't be here today.
Yep.
But they have cleared this project. The planning department recommends approval of the site plan review under Quincy zoning ordinance, Title 17, Section 9.5.1, site plan review, with the following special conditions. Number one, the applicant shall submit a construction management plan to Inspectional Services Department at the time of demolition and building permit application is filed. Number two, the applicant shall apply for a stormwater connection permit from the Department of Public Works before construction. Number three, the applicant shall develop and submit a dust control plan to the Department of Health for review and approval prior to any site activity. Said dust control plan is to be implemented during any site activities to ensure compliance with state air quality regulations. Number four, the applicant shall develop a rodent control contingency plan prior to the commencement of construction activities on the site, which will include the name and contact information for an on-call pest control company. Said rodent control plan shall be developed and submitted to the Department of Health for review and approval prior to obtaining their building permits. Number five, the stormwater operation and maintenance plan shall be recorded at the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds. Number six, upon completion of this project, the applicant shall submit to the planning board and engineering office as-built plans showing all utilities, building footprints, reference bounds, and benchmarks defining the total site, facilities, and rights-of-way. Plans shall be submitted in digital format acceptable to the departments. Number 7, the hours of construction activities will be as follows: 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, and all construction and delivery shall be prohibited on Sunday unless a different schedule is approved by the chief of police. And number 8, the applicant shall install a white 6-foot vinyl privacy fence on either side yard as stated. And that is my recommendation.
Thank you. Any questions of the department's recommendation? So we have a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve based on the recommendations.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is the continued public hearing for 1 to 15 Arlington Street for an amended site plan special permit, planning board case 2016-01, continued from the infamous January 11, 2017 meeting. Mr. Hines.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
To the board.
Not that lady.
It is fair. My name is Bob Hernandez, I represent Cathartis. This board remembers, we before this board, approximately a year ago, this board approved a hotel on Arlington Street. At that time, it was a 6-story hotel with 140 rooms. They all had kitchenettes. Well, after, we indicated to the board at that time we were going to expand. And the street went through, there would be another plan coming forward. While the closing and the process were taking place, then the applicant decided, as I described to the board last time, prior to doing closing, they were going to make an amendment. You have the plans that were submitted at the last hearing. And what they propose now is to drop it down from 6 stories to 5 stories. They're adding another 40 rooms, but to reduce the number of kitchenettes, so it will be 90 kitchenettes. We were here last time, we presented all the projects to you, we had the boards, we had everything. At that point, I know you had to go before for a peer review. I understand the peer review came back, and we're here now seeking approval for this project. Again, overall, what it actually does, it goes down 6,600 square feet down Arlington Street. It expands that way, but it reduced the height, reduced the number of kitchenettes. The parking is still within what it should be. The engineering process itself with regards to any drainage or anything still goes with the same. Nothing's really changed. All they've done is reduce the building, expand it down, and added rooms. This is a project that they've worked closely with the city in the past when the first project came up. And again, at that time we came before the board, we indicated there was always going to be a second phase. Instead of wasting time for the applicant, and again, this is an applicant with a great reputation. They have hotels in other locations. They will plan on running this hotel. It's a long-term for most of our business people, but nothing will be over 30 days. That was a concern the board had. The zoning board had too with the kitchenettes. And we made it clear that it was going to be nothing over 30 days, and it was mostly for business people traveling. They also decided to be less kitchenettes because they think the travel will be shorter periods of time. And we're asking the board, after peer review, I think everything came back okay, and the board could approve this.
That's it.
That's it.
Councilman?
That's it.
All right, this is a continued public hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, I'd ask you to step forward and identify yourself. Anyone who doesn't want to speak but wants to be recorded, sign-in sheets are on the windowsill. Anyone wishing to speak? Third and last time, anyone wishing to speak? Okay, before I close the public hearing, check. Eric, do you want to come up and a peer reviewer?
For the record, Eric Gerard, TEC out of Lawrence, Mass. Peer reviewers for this project. We did receive the updated application and materials, and similar overall impacts to the site are properly mitigated. The increase in the rooms, it's a insignificant change to the surrounding area as far as the traffic and the parking goes. So we're not concerned with the off-site impacts. And then there's also still the close proximity to the public transportation. A couple items noted, One of the changes is the trash pickup now is off Arlington Street. They're proposing a gate at the sidewalk, and then trash containers picked up in the loading spaces on Arlington Street. Previously, it was picked up, they were entering the site, so it was all contained. Now it's on the public road. And we had previously recommended coordination at the drop-off area to the hotel entrance. It is kind of congested. It was brought up by the applicant that they've performed this at other locations, and they were not concerned. Our recommendation was for them to provide additional information, and if the board had any concerns, to consider that. The only other concern was there's a pedestrian entrance along Arlington Street. Arlington Street is pretty steep, so just coordinating that entryway, which can be handled during the building permit process. There should be adequate space in there to detail how that door wants to open. So overall, no major significant impacts with the amended application.
Any questions? Thank you, Eric. Okay, there's a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Mr. Stevens?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. So this is an interesting case. It's an amendment, but an amendment on really a redesign of the building. As you heard from peer review, there really is no significant changes to the department's original recommendation.
The original recommendation, as I recall, is about 4 pages long.
It is 22 conditions. We did review that internally at a department review meeting with other city departments. And we feel that, the original conditions all of them should just be maintained. I'd be, more than happy to read through them. If we all got another 10 minutes to go. But there is no changes to any of the conditions. So this amendment will essentially update the plan set that will go with this project based off of what this board approved in 2016.
And just a quick question. I think it's no surprise from this board that one of my biggest concerns, I just want to make sure that there's no change here, is that this property would only fly the flag about a handful of chains,
Yeah, we've been talking with the International Hotel Group, so they'd likely be one of Marriott. So it'll be high end, it'll be around high end. It's going to be.
And just to satisfy my curiosity, say that fell through and you start talking a travel lodge or something like that, what protection does the city have to intervene?
Just so the board knows.
Yeah, we have 4 other flags: Hilton Garden Inn, Marriott, Hilton Garden Inn, Hampton Inn and Suites, the Marriott Inn and Suites, and an AC Hotel. So we only talk to the Marriott, we only talk to the International Hotel Group, Staybridge Suites. Those are all the ones that we do business with. We have commitments from them to do this project. So it's not going to be trouble.
Just so the board knows.
And that was always my understanding, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that nothing had changed.
Financially, the money they're gonna put into it, they wouldn't get back from a travel lodge or.
Average daily rates wouldn't work.
And I'm sure travel lodges are great.
I'm not
Just
critical of
not
travel
for-
lodge, I'm not critical of it, but the money wouldn't be there. They
Yeah,
wouldn't get them.
that was my understanding, I just wanted to double down on it.
Yeah, I mean, just in case the travel lodges there. And the old Ritz from Hancock Street will not be transferred down, just to make sure you.
No, that's the brain treatment.
I know.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the department's recommendation with the reflection that it's an amended plan reflecting the new plan's reference?
So
Second,
Second.
discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Chairman, we thank you, the members of the board, also the planning department. I know you're inundated, so thank you for taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. That concludes our agenda, both business and regular. Our next meeting is the 15th of March. We've endorsed all the plans. Just entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr.
would it be appropriate for me to make a couple of
Want to take a
comments?
point of personal privilege? Go ahead.
Is that okay?
That certainly is.
Thank you. So, as I think the members of the board know, and as the director knows, and perhaps others, today's my last day on the City of Quincy Planning Board, and I just wanted to, one, express my appreciation to the mayor for appointing me to be on this board, for the department, who've been wonderful to work with, and just doing quality work, and for the fellow members of this board. It's been a pleasure working with all of you over the last 3.5 years. And I'll just say I'm excited about the vision and the future for the city of Quincy. It's been exciting being a part of that. Have appreciated that opportunity. And it's with mixed feelings to step down, because I see a lot of exciting things happening here in the city, but at the same time, as I think all of you know, in terms of my commitments with family, with work, with church, it really was the right time for me to step down. But I did just want to really give my appreciation to all those here for exceptional experience here on the planning board. Thank you.
Well, Glenn, I'll yield to my fellow members, but I have a couple of comments. But I'll have, I don't know whether either Cole or Maureen.
Yeah, and I'm glad that member Caniso spoke first, because I did not want to embarrass him, but I was gonna say this no matter what.
She's gonna do it anyways.
Having you on the board has been wonderful, and I think that the perspective that you bring as an individual who grew up outside of the city, came here, fell in love with it, decided to raise your family here, and then wanted to get involved in the direction that it took as we grow and we embrace this future Quincy that we're building to. Your insight and perspective has just been invaluable, and I can't believe it's been that long already. But you're going to be missed, and so I hope you keep in touch with us, and good luck in all those activities.
I don't know, Maureen, you want to make any comments?
Well, I did reach out to Glenn by email, but just thank you for your service, and it's gratifying when people of your caliber, are willing to volunteer their time to boards. So hopefully you'll be back in the future when your kids are a little older.
It indeed has been an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
My only comment is that, and Cole kind of hit on it, was you bring to this board a different perspective, only because you haven't grown up here. I mean, I'm a homer, okay? I think Cole is too. But the insight that you've offered on many an issue, actually, you a couple of times you say, I hadn't thought about that until you mentioned it. And don't be surprised if you hear from one of us on an email asking you for your opinion on something, okay, in the future, because it would be gratefully appreciated, your ideas and your thoughts. But thank you for all you've done. And I agree with Cole, it doesn't seem like it's been 3.5 years.
Time flies.
I know Tempest Fuji, but thank you, and we will miss you.
So maybe,
Mr. Director, do you want to make any comment?
Please, if I may, for you, Mr. Chairman. Glenn, the mayor has asked me to share again, his congratulations. He feels that if there are any reasons that someone should step off the board, family, work, and church are pretty much the Holy Trinity. He also suggested to me to make sure that I don't lose your phone number. We spoke about that today earlier. Obviously, you work for a very prestigious, your day job is kind of interesting. And but your insight has been very helpful to me as well. And again, there are moments here when I just can get to sit back and listen to some of the thoughtful comments and questions that you've shared with the not just the board, but with the public and with the department. So from the department's point of view, you've been absolutely a great resource, and we're going to miss you dearly, but I can just tell you I respect your decision, and thank you so much for the time that you spent. Every citizen serves a little bit, some serve more than others, and you are definitely in the second category, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it would be fitting if you made the motion to adjourn.
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you very much, and again, thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Nice job, staff, again.
Thank you. Bring it to you. Yeah.